Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by New Relic. See why thousands of developers worldwide don't deploy without it. Sign up and get a free This Week in Startups t-shirt at newrelic.com/twist. And by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. Visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services Startup Program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and today on the program, a two-wheel car. It's LitMotors, and they've made an amazing, spectacular two-wheeled car. I kid you not. It is electric. It has gyroscopes in it. It can't fall over. It is something like the Tron light cycle plus Blade Runner plus. It's going to be mind-blowing. I've been trying to get this guy on the program forever. You're going to love this episode.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. But funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. It's Jason Calacanis, your host. This is a show where we talk about innovative technologies, startups, raising money for them, and the insane entrepreneurs and founders who try to put something interesting into the universe. And today, a two-wheel car that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm absolutely in love with this project, and I'm going to get one. But before we get to this insane new vehicle, let me thank my friends at WeWork. Hey guys at WeWork. Thank you for hosting This Week in Startups and for giving us a great office here and having an awesome studio that you built for This Week in Startups in the community. And speaking of the This Week in Startups community, go to twistlist.co and join the back channel, twistlist.co, to join the back channel. And I'm not going to even tell you what's going on there, but you can see. But it's all the people who really love the show hanging out. All right, I saw a video online, and I'm just going to hit play on it, not too long ago. And you folks who watch the show know I'm kind of obsessed with transportation, and I like hardware. You know, the industry is getting really bold in making hardware. And I see this, and I think to myself, my God, it's like something from Tron or like Blade Runner or Star Wars, and it's a car but a motorcycle, and there's two people can fit in it, it's got a case on it, and it doesn't fall down. And I said, get me the maniac who built this beautiful new vehicle, because whoever built this is either out of their mind or a genius or somewhere in between. That person is Daniel Kim, and his company is LitMotors. Welcome to the program. I don't know if that's a great intro or not.
That's great. That's a great intro, yeah.
But what entrepreneur decides to build this? I mean, who are you? Who are you, and why did you decide to build a Tron life cycle?
Yeah.
Are you just like some weirdo who's obsessed with Tron?
I did like Tron growing up. You know,
All right,
I grew
that
up in the
explains
80s. Yeah, I mean, this really came from an accident I had while I was building cars back in Portland, Oregon, and it really kind of inspired me to think what do we actually need in the transportation world? And yeah, that was about 10 years ago. I was building a Land Rover, and
You were building a Land Rover.
I was building a Land Rover.
Oh, because you wanted one of those Defenders in the United States that they'd stopped making?
Hey, yeah, exactly.
In 1994, they built like a couple of them, and then they
Exactly.
banned them because they don't have catalytic converters and they don't have airbags.
Airbags in 1997 is the last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just my cursory knowledge, just stuff off the top of my head, but go ahead.
Hey, not everyone actually knows that.
But so you
it's
decided
pretty
to import one of those and then, you were rebuilding one from the 70s.
Yeah, I was building one from the, actually from the 80s.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel and actually aluminum. And
Aluminum,
then this one, I had an accident where I was almost killed during the build.
Huh.
And that made me rethink why I was even building these trucks. Was it worth my life? And the answer is no. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to do this anymore, what should I do? What do we actually need? And I love transportation like every guy. Growing up watching Tron or Akira. And I thought about, well, if we don't need a 4,000-pound SUV, why not have a motorcycle that's fully enclosed? And Portland, Oregon, it's rainy. So you need that protection, or you need that enclosure.
And
that's
yeah,
where I
why
thought-
wouldn't you be driving in the rain in Portland on a motorcycle, right? That's completely logical.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but
Maybe you shouldn't be on the road with a two-wheel drive in the rain.
So yeah,
You
how
have
do
a
we-
unique brain, Daniel.
it was a long process, but it was
Yeah.
all empirical, and you know, it came through a life and death experience, which really definitely motivated
So
me.
what happened? You driving down the road and the suspension fell off or something and catapulted the car because you
actually,
didn't screw it in?
Usually that's how accidents occur. This accident was in the shop, and I was laying underneath one of the chassis. That was it was a bare chassis on like these chassis stands, and I was welding something onto it and pushed too hard in one direction, and it started to rock back and forth.
And you know that it's coming down on
and
you?
then I realized it was coming down on me. So
Oh my, what is that second?
that was less than a second. It was pretty quick.
But you must feel something in that quarter second when you know you're about to be crushed by a car.
Yeah, it was, oh crap, let's cover up the thing that's worth the most, and I kind of covered my face, and
Clearly, you're a good
yeah,
guy.
that's the money maker, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
no,
no,
but,
no need to cover your heart, by the way, Daniel. Just
Oh
keep
yeah,
that,
we
keep
don't
that
need
face
that.
intact.
Yeah. That's
I
what
wonder
we do.
actually technically if we should, when we get in accidents, instead of doing this, do this, like fuck my heart. But anyway, I
Yeah.
would do the same thing. I'm fan. I'd be like, yo, this
Yep.
face needs to
Hey,
make
you're
it
a
out.
beautiful guy. Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna-
absolutely.
if I wind up in a wheelchair, at least this is going to be a good looking face. So what happens? The thing does come crashing down on you?
It came down. I stiff armed it, covered my face, and as it came down, my arm acted as a push rod, and it basically shot me out from underneath it because I was laying on a roller bed.
Oh yes.
It's typical mechanics tool.
And nothing
right?
broke. Your arm didn't break. Your shoulder didn't break.
It
Nothing.
actually caught my leg, so that didn't feel too good. That was a 500-pound steel chassis coming down from 2-3 feet
but
up.
didn't break.
And it definitely beat the crap out of it. It was pretty deeply bruised. I have some hearing loss on this side because of the, and it actually knocked down 2 chassis that were up in the air because I was building 2 at the same time.
Oh, great.
So
Genius.
yeah, well, it
how-
sounded genius until you go
Genius.
through
Oh,
it. But
boy.
that's really
Brutal.
what kind of kicked off the idea.
Yeah. And so you start doing some research on this.
Yeah, some.
And what were the inspirations? Because, you know, one of the things, I think we cut the video off here, but I want to just put this one piece of the video back on, which is kind of the most interesting thing to me, which is most people do not get on motorcycles for 2 reasons. One, they fall down, and 2, they get hit, right? And in those 2 circumstances, you're at a huge disadvantage, aren't you?
Yeah.
With 2 wheels.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so here, let's play this part here. What is happening here in the video when you're pulling your old truck that's made out of aluminum, that must be one
Yeah.
of your old trucks, and it's dragging the bike, but it's not falling down? How?
Yeah.
And it's getting hit here and not falling down. Jesus.
Yeah, so you know we're able to defy gravity with using big tops or they're called gyros or control moment gyros, and they're pretty typical apparatus for our device for spacecraft or satellites.
They're gyroscopes?
They're just big tops basically,
What does it mean, big top?
like a big disc, the flywheel or spinning disc that rotates at 6,000 RPMs.
So there's a big disc rotating at 6,000 RPM, and if you try to push it over, that creates a force that keeps it up?
Yes, I mean there's another element which is there's a actuated gimbal that's off an orthogonal axis to the spinning axis of the flywheel. Basically, there's another axis of freedom next to the spinning flywheel, and then that when that processes or rotates, that creates like a riding force, or that creates the stability that you need.
And we would have first probably seen this in the Segway, right? Was that the first real consumer, like non-falling over device with these gyroscopes, or what'd you call it, big tops?
Yeah, or CMG, a control moment gyro. So
Control
moment gyro.
Control moment gyro.
Yeah.
Love it. I love learning new
It's
stuff.
It's very. It's a.
Did you know about those CMGs?
I did not know. I just kind of created in my head and did a quick calculation on it, and it seemed like it would work.
But you knew they were in satellites. You knew they were in the
I didn't.
Segway. Actually.
I didn't know that. That was a misnomer. I actually misinterpreted the gyros that are in Segways with this gyro. You know, the gyro in a Segway is like an IMU, an inertial measurement unit, or a 3-axis accelerometer. And that's what's in your phone. That's commonplace, like sensor. This is like real big, 40-pound spinning mass, and that's what I mean, like a big top.
So it's the big difference between those two different things, what's in my phone and what's in the Lit, what do you call this car? The
Yeah.
C.
Yeah, we call it the C1. That's an
C1, okay.
internal code name. Yeah.
Got it. So codename 1, C1. So the Lit C1, because you need to not just know you're falling over, you need to stop it from falling over. That's why you use the CMG, not just a regular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to know it's going to fall over. Did you know that it would be that resistant? Because to me, that looks almost like you CGI'd. I mean, obviously, getting hit here is a CGI. But the one where you're dragging it is clearly not a CGI. And I've seen video of you pushing it. How much force can that take? How much force does it take to push it over?
Right now, what we have, it's going to take about a Ford F-150 to really hit it, knock it over.
At what speed? 35?
35 miles an hour.
So in city driving, if you get hit at 35 by a large pickup truck, the largest pickup truck, I think, or one of the larger ones,
It will knock you over. Yeah.
it'll knock it over and the thing will slide.
It will slide, and then you will get knocked over. Yeah.
Got it. But if you get hit by, a Prius or a Fit or something, it's
not a
going to
big
just
deal.
wobble.
Yeah, it'll more drift.
Drift.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you know it was going to drift when you designed that?
I figured it was better than what was out in the market, and
Yeah.
anything better than what you can currently see out in the market is, it's included safety and more robust stability that opens up to a larger market. Like if I could get my mom to drive this,
Yeah.
like she would never jump on a motorcycle, but
No.
if I could get her to feel safe in one, then I feel like that was that's at least a good stab at
Okay.
How to solve transportation.
When we get back from this important commercial message from our partner, I want you to tell me about what the cost could wind up being on this and how fast these things go. And I think we actually have a video of you driving very fast when we get back from this very important message. Ah, yes, New Relic. Application performance on a very granular and detailed level. I use it at Inside. I use it at launch for the ticker. I get weekly updates on email of how my services are doing. Now, listen, I'm the CEO. I'm the boss man. I don't need to get down into the nitty-gritty of our application level, but I like to get that top-level summary, so then I know what the heck's going on. I know that our services are fast, I know they're stable, and my team loves it, as do the teams at Nike, Warby Parker, Airbnb, Comcast, AT&T. I could sit here for an hour and tell you impressive names like that use New Relic. New Relic has an amazing new product called New Relic Insights. And you can ask your software questions like, how many people signed up for a free trial today? What is our revenue by geography? How many unique visitors completed checkouts? All this kind of stuff. Insights is amazing. It's sort of putting together growth and data with how your servers and how your infrastructure are working. Great new product from them. Go check it out, newrelic.com/insights. And go to newrelic.com/twist and get a free This Week in Startups t-shirt. They printed This Week in Startups t-shirts. That should tell you all you need to know. They know what they're doing over there. They know how to communicate with this very valuable audience, the This Week in Startups audience. It's super fast, it's super easy, and no credit card is required. And it's affordable. I'm telling you, it's super affordable. You have to be using it if you're doing anything in the application, internet, infrastructure space. If you're serving stuff to people, you want to make sure that they're getting the information. You want to make sure that your application is fast and tight. You need tools like New Relic, and New Relic is the best tool out there for application performance. Thank you to my friends at New Relic, and go ahead and thank @NewRelic on Twitter. Okay, let's get back to the program. Hey everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. It's Jason Calacanis, your host. You can find me on the Twitter @Jason, or you can email me anytime, jason@launch.co or jason@inside.com. The show is at TWiST Startups on Twitter, and we are talking with Daniel Kim, who is the founder, CTO, and CEO of LitMotors, litmotors.com, which you should absolutely go check out and just do a search on YouTube and check out the videos to just have your mind blown. And when we left our hero, the founder of LitMotors, Daniel, you had figured out how to use this incredible CMG type of gyroscope with a big top spinning to keep this thing from falling over. Great. Let's talk about crashing as well, because you're now taking this on some high-speed escapades. I'm going to play this in the background while you talk over it about how fast this thing goes. And in addition to how fast it goes, how safe is it? So here, we're watching you on a track somewhere. What track is this, and what are you doing?
This is Laguna Seca, and just
Laguna, California.
Yeah, over in near Salinas or near Monterey, and
Oh, it's not near Laguna in Southern California.
No,
It's-
no, no, no.
Oh, they just call it Laguna. Got it.
Yeah.
to Monterey,
And
California.
so this is me taking some data, recording what our vehicles should be doing. And so this is like me on on a motorcycle, and I'm just basically recording a lot of data for the natural dynamics of a motorcycle.
Oh, this is just a motorcycle.
Yeah, this is just.
Oh, okay. I thought this was the Lit. This is
no,
a C1.
No, this is what we'll be doing sooner than later.
Okay, so you've been practicing on motorcycles and going very fast on them. What's the fastest a C1 has gone right now, and what's the progress on the overall project? Like,
Yeah.
Where are you at? How long has this been going on?
So the company's been, we've been around for about 4 years. The project's been researched for about 10. And what we're looking, the fastest that we've gotten our motors up to in our current prototype is about 80 miles an hour.
Okay.
And we're rated for about 100 miles per hour plus.
Okay, and is that because because motorcycles go 200 plus, right? And people buy these really fast things. Is that because the market doesn't want this to go 150 miles an hour, or is there some limitation on the engine, or are you using electricity? What's the story?
Yeah, all the above. It's really a commuter vehicle. This is a commuter vehicle. It's something that allows you to get from point A to point B, on a daily basis. 48 miles is the average commute.
Okay. So it's electric.
It's electric.
Oh,
purely
wow, I
electric.
didn't realize that.
Yeah,
So there's a bunch of batteries in the floorboard, like Tesla Model S?
Yep. Very similar architecture, except for we have these CMGs or these gyros in the way.
Oh, and they take energy.
They take energy, not a lot of energy. We're making them to like satellite spec.
Got it.
But it's a very efficient system, and we're really excited that we can actually get something to market that would get you about 200 miles per charge, 150 to 200 miles.
Which would be amazing, more than you need.
Absolutely.
And what's the cost on this? Or is there a price out yet? Because you can reserve one, so there must be a price.
Yeah, the price right now is about $24,000.
Okay.
So we're very confident we're going to hit that ballpark, not too much more than that. That's I think that's affordable to a pretty large market out there. This would be the equivalent to Tesla's first Roadster.
Absolutely, right, which I have the 16th one of.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
Okay.
I'm an early fan of the product.
That's great. That's
I
awesome.
have Signature 16, yeah. I have
That's
Signature
amazing.
1 of the Model S.
Very
First
cool.
one to put a deposit down on that one.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to get you. We'll get you a lit. We'll get
you know what?
We'll get you
24,000 for a motorcycle is a gasp number, but for a car is a affordable number.
Yeah.
So if you're putting this up against, whatever, a Prius, it's going to take up less space, it's going to cost less to maintain, and it's going to cost $15,000 less.
Yeah, and you're more likely to get laid, at a bar with a C1 than a Prius.
Absolutely right. So you do have the getting laid premium on these. No, I mean, for some period of time, you are right. Like, people are going to be, like, amazingly into this. So current production date says end of the year on the website. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Something.
We're working towards it.
Working towards it, yeah. I think the Roadster was 2 years late. I don't know the exact number of months late.
We're definitely not going to be
It
doing
might have
that.
been 18 months late. I don't know exactly, but the
We're definitely not
Roadster
gonna be
was
doing that either.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, the company almost went out of business because building a vehicle is hard as you're learning.
Yeah, cars are definitely difficult to build.
Let me ask you a really blunt question.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's $24,000. I mean, this is a lot of research, and it's a lot of work to build these. You're not going to make any profit on the first series. You have to get this to mass production in order for this to be profitable. This is really just a giant, first, volley to just proof of concept. Make sure you can get 1,000 people to drive these or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, $24,000 price point is pretty realistic. We have a very accurate bill of materials at scale that was substantiated by someone who worked at BMW for 25 years. So that's the first part of that. We're not going to be making money off of the first 1,000 units that we already have pre-orders for.
Yeah.
But where we're net income positive is around 10,000 units, and that's about half of where Tesla's at right now.
They're doing, Teslas are doing, I think they're selling 6,000 or 7,000 a quarter now.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, they picked it up. They were only doing 2,000 the first quarter the Model S came out, but now they're breaking 6. So.
Yeah, they got to 6. And
yeah, I mean, I think the factory topped out at 30,000 before they did the overnight. I think the overnight shift then made them able to do 40. So they're sort of trending to 40, and they have the demand for it.
Yep.
Who are the people buying this? currently? Who are
Yeah.
these 1,000 people who or so?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of a early adopter, innovator market for now. That's to be expected, obviously. Interesting thing is that they're not all motorcyclists. Actually, there's a very large chunk of them that don't have a motorcycle license.
Really? Do you need a motorcycle license for this, or is this going to fall under cars?
So right now, it's technically classified as a motorcycle.
Huh. But it's easy. It has a steering wheel.
It does, and it has foot pedals and
it has an enclosure. So
yes.
the similarity between a car is the steering wheel, the enclosure, and the pedals. The similarity with a motorcycle is the wheels, the number of wheels.
Yes, but we also have airbags and seat belts and all the safety amenities of a car.
Right.
But on a two-wheeled platform. So it's really a new vehicle platform.
Yeah. So you do have to then go get your motorcycle license. However, having had a motorcycle permit for a long time when I was in New York, and I would drive with my friend who had a license, and I almost did my license.
Yeah.
But it would make my mom cry. Like every time I would leave on the motorcycle, like she literally would be on the stoop in Brooklyn. And then when I get back, I would she'd still be on the stoop waiting for me to get back from a 2-hour ride, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Mom. She's like literally crying about it.
Wow.
But taking that test, you have to do figure eights, and you have to do stops, you have to do cones. I mean, there's a lot. It's a very intricate test. Are they going to have to change the test to accommodate this vehicle? Because I don't think the test works. The motorcycle test is not applicable to this vehicle.
Absolutely. It's taking the motorcycle driving test or in this vehicle is cheating because you don't have to worry about balance at speed.
Right.
It's very simple.
So doing a figure eight in this is not going to be that big of a deal. What are the turning radius? Is the turning radius on this
It's pretty tight. Yeah.
as tight as a motorcycle though, or
It depends on how you ride that motorcycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna make it so it can comply with those tests.
got it?
But
Have you started talking to them about it? Because wouldn't they be like, hey, you kind of cheat on the test here, or that's fine, or maybe we need a test for this new category of vehicle? Because it feels like they need a new test for this category of vehicle to me.
Yeah, I mean that's one way we're going to be approaching it. The other way is you can there are exemptions actually
Under 49cc?
uh,
Under 35 miles an hour?
well, that's one as a moped, but there's a new class of vehicle that's called an autocycle. And
No shit, really?
Yep, and you don't need
Autocycle.
Autocycle, full enclosure. They have 3 or less points of contact on the road, and
What does that mean, 3 or less points of contact on the road?
So 3 or less points of contact are for wheels or.
Oh, I see, because they do
landing
have
gear.
that 3, what is that 3-wheel Italian one?
The
with the
MP3, the MP3 or
It's with an A, I
the.
think, or something. But it's got 2 wheels in the front. That one is, and then there's the other one that's the 3-wheel with the 2 in the back. That
Yeah.
looks more like a.
There's several configurations. There's a Piaggio. Yeah, and they have one. There's the MP3. There's a high motion. There's actually quite a few, and those are actually relatively popular. BMW created a C1 of their own back in the early 2000s. Yep, and that was a partially enclosed motorcycle.
I've seen that in. You know where I've seen that one is in France. You see motorcycles with an enclosure though.
Very popular. Yep, very popular.
What is that called? Just a motorcycle with a enclosure?
Yeah, that was the BMW C1. Yeah, and so it's not something we're going to copy necessarily, but that's the internal name.
It just keeps you dry in the rain, half dry in the rain.
Exactly.
It's not completely enclosed.
But if you're in Paris and there's small streets and a lot of traffic and you need something nimble.
But what does the roof really do for you if you take the rain out? Does it do anything for you? Is it going to protect you or something if you crash? Because it doesn't have a side enclosure.
It doesn't, but it does get rid of 90% of the rain. So if you're wearing a suit and you're executive in Paris, you need to get from point A to point B. It's helpful.
May show up dry.
Yes.
Drier.
More dry than less. So.
Yeah. All right. When we get back from this commercial break, I want to talk about your second vehicle.
Okay.
Which is called the, what is that, Kubo?
The Kubo, yeah.
The Kubo, which is even more fascinating, I think, for some people when we get back on This Week in Startups. Hey, thanks again to my good friend Scott Ed Walker of the Walker Corporate Law Group. They are a boutique law firm that specializes in servicing startups. They have a great team there. They're all from the big, huge firms, and they have 10, 20 years experience. But they give you a really intimate affordable solution if you're a startup. They're all passionate about startups over there, and they do flat rate pricing. So you're not going to get that surprise bill at the end of the month, the lawyer roulette where you open up your PDF and the bill's either 500 or 5,000, and you can't seem to figure out why. Scott's team will tell you, hey, this is what it's going to cost, here's a price, and then they get it done. And then many times I see Scott and his team will meet with entrepreneurs for 2 or 3 hours, not even charge them, explain a topic. They just love startups. They do a great job with them. And they will take somebody who's very early in the process, and I've seen them do this many times, grow with them up to an M&A transaction and raising an A round, a B round, a C round. They're in it for the right reasons, and they come to all of our events, and they have for years. And at some point, they decided to start sponsoring this program, this humble little program, This Week in Startups, and I think that was 3 years ago. And they've been in the family all that time. So many of the audience members have met with Scott Walker personally and his team. You can go to Walker Corporate Law, walkercorporatelaw.com, where you can call Scott directly, 415-979-9998. 415 is San Francisco, you know that number. 979-9998. Mergers and acquisitions, licensing agreements, terms of service, privacy policies, all that stuff. Fixed fees, great team, Scott at walkercorporatelaw.com, Scott at walkercorporatelaw.com. If you're starting a company, just email him. He's a great guy. Tell him Jason sent you. We're good friends. He's done such a wonderful job for all the companies that I work with. So thank you to him for, number one, taking care of those companies that I send to him, and number two, for supporting This Week in Startups, which we couldn't do without our partners. Thanks so much. Let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey, everybody, welcome back. My guest today, Daniel Kim of LitMotors. His, Dan of Lit, it's cute, is your Twitter handle, Dan O-F-L-I-T, and LitMotors is the other handle. If you want to go buy one of these awesome $24,000 bikes, it's like a $500 deposit. Go ahead and do it. Go to litmotors.com. Have some gumption. Have some guts. Go buy one of these. Okay, now this I saw, I don't know where, in Gadget or something, had the Kubo. So you decided, you haven't even delivered the first one yet, and you are so ADD, you're going to launch a second vehicle based on the same technology. But seriously, your investors and VCs must be like, are you crazy? But I saw this one, and this one got a ton of press too. What are we looking at here? Because for people who are listening on the radio or on the treadmill right now, you really got to watch this episode on the Wistia player on thisweekinstartups.com. But it looks like a scooter, but instead of like having like a Vespa kind of front, it's got a huge square with handlebars on it, and you can put stuff in that square area like, I don't know, a big box or something. I don't know. What are we looking at, and why are you building this one?
Yeah, so this is a cargo scooter. This is something that I worked on with a few friends earlier, not before the C1, but this was something that we kind of worked on as a small pet project. This is basically a cargo-specific scooter. It's an electric scooter, no gyros necessary, a really low center of gravity. It's all electric. You get great range. It's about 50-mile range, 35-mile on top speed. This is something that we could see work well for couriers here in the States, or in New York. I think that'd be huge. But in other countries like China, India, and a lot of like Japan, Korea, Brazil, and even in Europe, we could see this being really big for like delivery services. That's huge in those regions.
Absolutely. And now this was a Kickstarter project?
Yes, that was a Kickstarter project. Well, kind of. I mean, it was already done, but we used Kickstarter as a platform to just kind of test the market.
Explain that. Like, why do that? Because you obviously have some ability to raise money and do stuff, but you decided to do Kickstarter anyway because what?
It was kind of an experiment. We were pretty successful in getting our own press and testing the reducing risk and our market liability.
Yeah, let's play the video, by the way, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Oh, here it goes.
So, this is just one way to test like the scooter market here in the United States. And, prior to this, we had already like almost 800 pre-orders for the C1, and that we got on our own. It'd be interesting to test Kickstarter to see how that would work. I think we got what we thought we were going to get from Kickstarter at that price point.
And what does this one cost?
This one's about like $4,000. So
okay, so it's the same as a Vespa. It's not super expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
you can get an electric one though for as little as what, $1,500 from China?
Yeah. Oh,
tho-
or less.
Or,
yeah,
well, no,
so.
I'm talking about the ones that have real batteries, not the car
Oh,
batteries, right? Like,
okay.
because the ones that are in China use regular car batteries, right?
Yep.
What are those,
yep.
lead acid batteries?
Lead acid batteries. Yeah. I mean,
And that
they're
kind of sucks to use a lead acid battery, right? The range is terrible, the charging time's terrible.
not very much range at all. Yeah. Very, very, very robust. But yeah, just not a lot of density per pound. So.
And so these use more like the Tesla batteries, the Panasonic little
Yep.
batteries or
Yep.
something?
Little 18650 cells.
Does your job get easier because of what Tesla has sort of done in terms of the electric market? Like when you buy from suppliers and stuff like that, is it like, oh, you want the Tesla brand or you want the,
Right.
you know, like Tesla kit or the Tesla cables or something? Like, has Tesla's mass, you know, electric vehicle, and now I guess the Leaf has also become kind of a mass vehicle. Is it getting easier to do this now?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be where we are currently if it wasn't for Tesla. I mean, they're definitely industry leaders, at least in the four-wheeled vehicle landscape. You know, for us, before they were net income positive, you know, we had to do a lot of risk reduction and become very resourceful. And that's partially what the scooter was for. Actually, that was our roadster. That was how we were testing or learning about how larger companies would treat us when it came to contracts.
Got it. Wait,
So-
does that scooter have the CMG and the top thing in it? No. So that if you need to know how to steer. You have
just
to
like a
know, you
scooter.
have to have balance like anybody with a scooter does.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's the thing that is truly fascinating about the C1 is, hey, you actually don't need to know how to balance yourself.
Yes.
So if I take a turn, you know, at 35 miles an hour with a scooter and I'm not really good with it, you could lose it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a motorcycle or anything. You just drop it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is it even possible to drop a C1? How much effort would it take to actually get it to fall down while driving?
Well, that's
Like
not.
what level of insanity do I need to do?
Well, you can't actually so think of the C1 as like a robot that just takes all the natural dynamics of like a motorcycle and puts that into code and to math. And so you can't actually get the bike to fall over. You can't.
It won't let
induce
you.
it. No, it would lean the bike over more maybe. It might slow it down. It might speed it up. But it's basically a very safe two-wheeler. So it's really a new vehicle platform. It's just something that's never been developed before.
Right.
Because no one's created a robotic bicycle.
You don't need to in a car because in a car, you know, to turn it and to get it to flip, you know, with forked tires at 35 miles an hour is an impossible task.
Right.
You'd have to be going really fast.
Yes.
And you have to make an extreme turn.
Yes.
So they haven't had to build it for that. But actually, it might not be a bad thing. Have they decided, or has anybody ever thought of in a car saying if somebody's going 80 miles an hour and they try to turn the wheel the whole way, not let them?
Right. That is actually all calculated, and there is some kind of like safeguards against that
in
for
some cars,
higher
yeah.
speeds in some cars.
Yeah.
You know, but in ours, you would more likely induce a drift.
Yeah, you might slide a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, or you'll slide a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, a two-wheeler acting like a car is unheard of, right? If you took this
Yeah.
in the snow and tried to oversteer or understeer it, you would just drift like a normal car on a two-wheeler.
Got it. So yeah, because I used to ride a scooter in New York, and riding in the rain or the snow, I used to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it is a challenge to stay balanced when the tires start hydroplaning and stuff like that. But you can learn how to do it. I was pretty good at it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I actually didn't ever drop the bike. I mean, I almost did a couple times in the snow, whatever. But
Yeah, and you know, so that's what.
so this could be all weather.
Oh, this is all weather.
It's all weather.
Oh, yeah.
So like rated, like it's raining out, go ahead and drive.
It's snowing out. Go ahead and drive.
Wow. That's mind blowing because if you're on a motorcycle, they like, listen, do not drive this in the snow. They will tell you.
Right.
And in the rain, you probably want to park and then get a cab home.
Absolutely.
Like it's not advisable.
Yeah, this is an all-weather, all-year-round commuter vehicle.
What about the tires? Are the tires the same as a big motor? They look pretty fat to me.
Yeah, those are actually all like off-the-shelf tire sizes.
Yeah.
You know, really, if you want to drive in snow, then you'd have to, you know, get tires with studs on them or sight the tires for more traction. I mean, you know, that's all stuff that's off the shelf and just, you know, makes our life easier. You know, it's a pretty small car, the way you think about it. You know, we have 1/10 the parts count, so it's a lot less complexity. And that's why we think we can get to that $24,000 price point and deliver it, a lot faster than what Tesla did.
This would be so amazing on like an island, or when you're going to in Europe and on islands where the roads are narrow and there's a lot of people renting stuff and there's a lot of young people. I mean, this would be amazing. Like, just can you imagine in Hawaii if they just rented these, and then the roads would, you get 2 lanes for each road. I mean, it doubles all that.
Yeah.
What about the safety? Because you haven't done crash tests yet. Obviously, you're still building these, so you're going to have to do. What is that, NTSB? Who does the crash test?
NTSHA, yeah.
NTSHA.
Yeah, the National Highway and Transportation Safety Association.
Yeah. So that's like a government body.
Yeah, that's a part of the DOT that works with the DOT for safety.
Okay.
And then they outsource a lot of their own, like the actual tests.
So there's like companies that help you do the test.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does this new class of vehicle, which is what again? What do you call it?
It's it's
car,
autocycle. That's one way to think about it.
Okay, we'll use autocycle. I like that. So do autocycles have a crash test standard? Because motorcycles don't have cages. So I'm sure there's a test. Is there a test for a motorcycle? Or is it moot?
Not really. Yeah.
There's no test. The test is if you hit a brick wall on a motorcycle, it's not going to turn out well for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're going to be judged by the car standard? Since there isn't a motorcycle one, or do they make a new standard?
There is no standard right now. It isn't until we get higher, more mass adoption that will be required. But that's great because that saves about $11 million for our investors. And it's we will do our own safety tests. I mean, that's our job.
Yeah. Well, it's also isn't it going to be critical for adoption? The Mini Cooper and the Smart Car and the Fiat 500 in these cars, people really didn't want to adopt them because they thought, they're too small. And then I remember somebody took, it might have been Top Gear that did it. They put a bunch of crash dummies in a smart car, and at like 60 or 70 miles an hour, they put it into a cement wall with video cameras. And it was amazing. Like, the person survived. Not the crash dummy survived, but it wasn't as bad as you'd think at the full-on into a wall.
I mean, smart cars are they're beautifully engineered vehicles.
Yeah, have you studied those for that reason?
Oh, absolutely. We the prototype that we had was actually a 3-ply steel unibody that we built, and that simulated accurate vehicle weight, and it's pretty easy to put the engineering function on for safety. So yeah, we're definitely thinking of having that kind of either steel carbon mix, possibly with aluminum subframe. But safety is our #1 priority. That's why actually we put a lot of safety and thought into our electrical system to making sure our gyros never fail or having
because that would be bad. You
2-3 times. Yeah, we have 2-3 times redundancy in our stability.
Got it.
So
what happens if I lose the gyro? The thing does just warn me like, hey, you probably want to pull over now, and things are going to get a little loosey.
Absolutely, and we actually have 2 gyros, and you actually only need 1 to stabilize.
Okay,
with
so it's like having 2 engines.
Yep.
But does it feel different when are they both on simultaneously, or does one kick in as the backup?
They're both on the same time.
So losing one, does it get like when you're in a plane and you lose one engine and you go, okay, got a little compensation going on, or does the computer figure that out?
No, it figures it out and say, hey, pull over.
Yeah, pull the hell over.
Yeah.
You have lost a gyroscope.
Yeah, and even if you lose both gyroscopes, and that would be impossible because you would have to lose both motor controllers, and then there's a backup electrical system. But even if in the case that you do, there's landing gear that comes out.
Landing gear.
Yep, landing gear. That's our parking mode, but there's landing gear that deploys to make sure that the vehicle stays upright. As you
a kickstand?
Yep. But
how is it different than a kickstand? Yeah.
It's really it's a 4-bar linkage that basically deploys and has like skids on the bottom.
You have 4 skis deploy? It goes into skiing mode?
Oh, it's 2 skis, but it's a 4-bar linkage that comes out, and it's very elegant, very nice, very robust.
So that comes out, and you slide to a stop if you had to.
Yep.
So in a worst case scenario, if you just had a complete shutdown, these would come out. They're independent of the central system or something.
Yep.
So the central system breaks down, those pop out, and you just slide to the side of the road.
Yep.
That's kind of brilliant, dude. You came up with that? What are you, an engineer or something, or?
No, I'm not classically trained. No.
You're not a classically trained engineer. You're like a Bond villain or something, or you could be like the guy from Bond, Q.
Maybe, yeah. Except for I'm not, 25 and white.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
I think they'll change that up over time, but
Or like Data. What about Data from Goonies?
I don't remember the Goonies, but it's like you do have this like Elon Musk type mind where you're thinking of like non-traditional solutions for stuff. Is Elon Musk a big like sort of hero and like inspiration for this, or I know you worked on it a little bit longer, but it's got to help that he's actually made some crazy ideas work.
Oh, absolutely, and I think him and his friends really are very very innovative and just have a big balls to do what they're doing. Really,
yeah.
It took a lot of tenacity, and part of doing something like this in hardware, you have to have quite a bit of tenacity, and he's been very persistent and very resourceful. And that's been amazing to watch.
Yeah,
really.
They almost went out. That was almost a full out. Talk about a crash test.
Yeah, that's I probably wouldn't do it in that same way, but I'm not Elon. And
well, you are taking from the playbook by taking deposits in advance to fund it, right?
Yep, and
so that helps.
Yep, and
that's a very cool innovation that he did.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think that whole team has been very innovative in the way to think about how to structure a hardware-intensive startup.
So if you get hit in the side, what happens? You think?
Stays up.
But what about like if you really get hit hard, like 60 miles an hour or something like that?
60 or 16?
60. So like let's say you get like a really serious accident. Some idiot blows a red light and you get hit 60 miles an hour on the side. Like you're going to die like you would in a passenger car? Or
do you want me to tell you what's going to happen sequentially? Or?
Yeah, I could. Maybe not that graphic, but just like because the side it is a smaller vehicle, but I'm wondering if the sides because you can obviously put extra protection in it, like Smart Car did. But is the side any different than a regular car getting hit on the side?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So even though it's one passenger, not two, if you're the driver and you get sideswiped, it's the same as if you were in a regular two-door car.
Yeah, the only difference is the difference in mass. But how that, how the impulse force is being absorbed by the car, which is usually engineered into any vehicle.
Right.
We just have to take an extra step. So, the gyros would actually end up pushing back on the force, and your front to rear tire will lose traction. And so you'll start to skid. And then, if you got hit really hard,
you'd have roll.
No, you wouldn't roll. You would just kind of stay in that same plane. But your side airbag would deploy.
The side airbag. Is that now it's inside?
That's inside, yeah.
All right.
And then the door would slightly deform and dissipate the energy. Yeah. Depending if we had a carbon door or just steel reinforced carbon door.
What's the strongest possible door then? Is that carbon?
Carbon steel reinforced door. So it'd be like a main bar truss that goes across the impact zone, and then the rest of the door would be carbon dissipating the energy 10 times more absorbent than steel, and then that would get dissipated into the chassis, and then that would get put into the tires or the gyros, and then the driver would basically be would kind of bump up against the side airbag, and then the seatbelt would also keep you in place. So, and you got to decelerate, a lot of that, a lot of those G's or energy. But at 60 miles an hour, most anyone would be screwed at 60 miles an hour, 90 degrees.
You're not walking away. You're walking away at 30, but not 60.
Definitely not at 60. Yeah,
no.
They don't even do crash tests at 60.
Yeah, it is interesting, I have to say, when watching Elon construct the Model S. And he was showing me the early designs and stuff like that. And I was talking to him about safety, specifically in the trunk, because we have jump seats in the trunk. But in the front, he put like extra struts in the front, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think that they show this on the website. Because they have no engine, they just put in 2 or 3 times the amount of crunching zone. So it's actually better than having an engine between you and there, because the engine is an efficient absorption, or not as efficient as the struts they put in. So are there opportunities for you to do things with this new format that are even better, or?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a direct. You can't really directly, compare the two. But our front wheel and our suspension arms do something like that, and because we don't have an engine, everything. If you look at the architecture of the vehicle, is actually very, very simple and very, it's very elegant. And, you know, safety is number one priority. So, you know, we will have sequential failure that's planned, and we will test that. And that's basically what, you know, Tesla or any automotive company has to deploy in their development process. So.
In Judge Dredd, the original bad one,
Yeah. Okay.
do you remember, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a car accident or something, but instead of the airbags being on the inside, they did like either a foam or something on the outside where like the whole thing blew up and it kind of bounced?
Yeah.
Have people done these external airbags? Because I know that in the motorcycle space, they do have the collar or the jacket that does an airbag for when you hit the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
Do those actually work? By the way, I just want to take a moment and thank whoever's video jockeying right now that they were able. This is the perfect example of the video jockeying I wanted to see on the show because, so here we go. He's driving, and then what happens in this, it's incredible. Because it was a computer driving car, it didn't, you look at all the foam in the airbag, it's hysterical. And then the whole thing becomes like a filled with
Big
foam.
airbag.
No, it's foam on the inside, I guess is what they went for.
Oh,
Because that was a self-driving car, and then it gave him the steering wheel when it crashed.
When it said,
He's
"Hey,
like, by the
we're gonna
way,
crash."
yeah, we've lost him. But are there, like, is there going to be some new innovation in that way? And do those airbags that the motorcycle people use on their helmets or whatever, are those things actually legitimately helping or not?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think there are a couple companies like Dainese that did develop
Dainese.
D-A-I-N-E-S-E. You know, they developed an airbag, a cold airbag that deploys. That definitely helps. That's being used in MotoGP. It saves a lot of lives and a lot of bone. MotoGP. It's like Formula. It's like Formula One for motorcycles, and that could definitely be helpful. And so, you know, we're considering all options about airbag deployment. It might be a little strange to do it, but you know, I'm definitely open to it, and we would definitely test it.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to like what the next phase of all this is because, you know, when you see, you know, what they're doing with the motorcycle airbags, like I pulled it up on the screen here, guys. It's pretty amazing that they have. You can put it on my screen in the control room, but for my laptop, the idea that there's something on the outside of the vehicle that actually tries to stop things would be crazy.
Yeah, it's, you know, it really comes down to the architecture and how to, you know, execute that from a mechanical standpoint and to make sure it's safe and robust and you have a great product. So, you know, there are a lot of things that come into play when you consider something like that. I definitely think it's a cool idea. And I would definitely try it.
Maybe self-driving cars will come before we need any more of these kind of safety things, right? Like
possibly. Yeah.
So what do you, I mean, you must have seen what Sergey showed at the Recode conference to Kara Swisher, where they had the self-driving car without a steering wheel, without pedals, with just a plain dashboard. When you see that, and you're building the C-1, boy, it's starting to look like a vision of Blade Runner, of, you know, Tron, Light Cycles, whatever, Judge Dredd. Like, these things seem to me to be the ultimate self-driving car, and you've already got the gyroscope in it. What are your thoughts on the self-driving car? How far are we from that?
I mean, I love the self-driving car. I think that that combined with like Lyft would be amazing.
Yeah.
And so I could easily see that, you know, being deployed in a city. You know, the way I look at it.
When do you think that'll arrive, though? Because you're like a man of science, if it were, and like you understand this stuff. You're studying it. Like when we see this car, and you know, that was incredible video of like people getting into it and just driving around without a driver. Like, obviously they're making it work in their, you know, parking lot. Do you think we're 5 or 10 or 20 years away from this happening?
It could be sooner. I don't think if someone wanted to go out and buy their own self-driving car, and where, you know, Google would want to work with someone.
Yeah, like when will we be getting in them? 10 years, 20 years? What's your thought?
Oh, you could probably be getting in them probably the next like year or so, 2 years easily.
Well, I'm saying in a market, like they're actually available to a civilian, not going to Google X Labs and getting to try it, because obviously people are trying it. I'm talking about like, when will people in New York or Vegas or wherever just walk into one of these? Like, will society accept them? Because you have a society accepting your project as well, right?
Yeah, so those are two different questions, though. I mean, so like I think it's going to be very hard for people to let go of control. we do that in a semi. We kind of take a little bit of control out of the equation. We make it accessible though. So we take out. You would usually get on a motorcycle or a bicycle and think, okay, now I need to use my bouncing, in my inner ear. Just how do I balance this vehicle? And
So you've taken that out. It's a pretty interesting first step along the way.
yeah, it's a small incremental step, but we don't take the control out of your hands.
Yeah.
Google's taking it a whole nother step. I think if they kept things at low speed in an inner city, I don't think they're going to be selling to anyone. Maybe they'll sell to Zipcar or something like that, or Lyft or Uber. But if they created a fleet for those companies as an NEV, which is a neighborhood vehicle, we could be in self-driving cars or trying them out in the next year or two. I think that could be easily executed.
I love these NEVs, like the Gem car or whatever,
Yeah.
like the first generation of
Yep.
them,
Yep.
like in Malibu or even Santa Monica. Like
Quite a few of them.
yeah, you see them more and more often. It's not just for like people who are in retirement homes. People are buying these like little
for delivery.
12,
yeah.
15K, 35-mile-hour golf carts. essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, and an accident, with those would be minor.
Yeah. Well, at that speed, if you're going
yeah.
20, 35 miles. But if you got hit, a Gem car getting hit by a real car would be, those things are not designed for safety. No airbags, nothing.
Yeah, but you could put airbags in them. You could steel reinforce them. There's a lot of things you could do.
Sort of like what you're doing. So you raised a couple $1 million from this from pretty cool people. Yves Bahar, who's been on the show, and of course Mark Pincus, but not from, and Kelly Slater. That's fascinating. So a lot of great celebrity, investor, interesting people, but no VC firm yet?
That's kind of a prelude. We did have a micro VC invest in our company recently. And,
oh, really? Which one? Is it public?
I don't know. I'm not sure if I should disclose it, but it's a micro VC.
Micro VC. Okay.
Yeah, it's Korean. It's Korean backed, and some.
Oh.
So I'm Korean.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good first step.
I didn't know they had micro VCs, and I thought it was like the SK Telecom had their VC firm, and it was nobody else.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe they're a micro VC. Are they considered a micro VC?
No, they're involved. So
oh, are they? Oh, very good.
They're involved. So
it's fascinating that SK Telecom has so much market share that they can't have any more market share technically. This is one of the most interesting business things ever. In Korea, and maybe it's changed. Maybe I haven't been to Korea in a couple of years, but SK Telecom has so much market penetration that they're not allowed to have any more customers.
Yeah.
Because they hit 70%, or is this something that got triggered? Like, it would be as if we said, hey, if, I don't know, Android hits above 80%, they can't have any more customers. So then they have to go take all this money they're making and do other things with it, like invest. And create other verticals. So it's very fascinating that they're good investors in that way, that they're really going to be risk-taking and everything.
Yep.
Do you think the United States will be the primary market for this, or do you think that this is something that like Sao Paulo and Barcelona are going to embrace faster?
I think we're starting here in the United States, but I definitely think in the future, Europe, all of Asia is going to be huge. I think Brazil is going to definitely be a big market. It's two-wheelers are a big market in the world. Cars are also very large, but it's a lot more crowded and just a lot more complex. And I've already built 2 cars, and building cars is really, really, really insanely difficult, and for one person to do. And then even if you're going to add 40 people, 100 people, 1,000 people to the mix, it's just nuts. It really is. I mean, my hat's off to Elon and the entire Tesla team.
So this is a category that is actually a little bit more doable. But don't you need to take down like a $10 or $20 million venture round at some point to scale this up?
Yep.
What do you have to prove to get that round? What do you think?
We're building a new prototype that's going to be very robust, and you can go to our website, litmotors.com, and look at our blog, and you can see kind of a little sneak peek of what we've been building. And
so the Gen 2 will be the one you think?
Yeah, and this is just like a very robust alpha prototype. And this is EP4 for us, or engineering prototype 4. And so you can see some nice shiny shots of some of the components that we had custom made, and I'm pretty excited. I keep going to the track to basically take more data off my bike, and we hired a really great engineering team. It's grown quite a bit substantially. we've grown by almost 300% in the last 5 months, which is
Really?
kind of staggering to deal with because we have quite a bit of growing pains. But we just kind of installed a new structure and management, so it's a report up rather than very. It used to be a lot flatter.
Yeah.
But now I just can't have I can't go around to 25 people or 28 people and ask, hey, what are you up to? Hey, what are you up to?
Yeah,
Hey, what are
no,
you
you're
up
going to
to?
need to have a little bit going on. So listen, this is fascinating. Everybody should go buy one. Go to litmotors.com, and you'll have those out whenever, end of the year, beginning of next year. People will have them on the streets of San Francisco. I think I'm going to order one. I'm kind of sold. I think I want to have this. I kind of feel like I need to have this for my collection of electric.
We'll make you number 16.
Oh, really? Maybe I can buy somebody out. Ooh. Has anybody? Because people can cancel, right? You got to give them a refund if they cancel. So somebody's going to. That's how I got number 16. I was a little bit further down, and then somebody canceled, and Elon, hey, maybe I move you up a couple slots.
Ryan is the one to talk to about that.
A little grease, maybe a little grease. Ryan, get Ryan a little bit of lunch and talk about it. All right, listen, this has been amazing, Daniel Kim. Congrats on building a new class of vehicle, and I wish you great success with it. It's extraordinary.
Thank you.
Like truly innovative, and I'm just thrilled that you came on the show because I've been totally sweating this vehicle for like over a year, and watching it and watching it and watching it. And I'm just like really fascinated. I just love it. I think it's great, and I can't wait to see number 2. Actually, number 2, well, the launch festival is March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th next year, and there'll be thousands of people there. Maybe we should debut the prototype 2 there.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so
Might
lock
be.
it in. There we go. We got a date.
Perfect.
Mark, you get everybody's. So don't show any more pictures of number 2. Keep number 2 under wraps until March 2nd at the launch festival. Prime keynote slot. You drive it on. We have it on stage. We drop the curtain. We drive it out of the place. Boom! Right in the Fort Mason. It'll be amazing. All right. Thanks again to everybody who worked on the show, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye bye.
I'm Ryan James, the Chief Marketing Officer of Lit, and here we are in our workshop in Soma. So this is our machine shop right here. We've got our mill and our lathe. We're very, very hands-on, make pretty much everything ourselves. So the core technology of our vehicle is gyroscopes. It's actually adapted from the same sort of CMG systems that you see in satellites and other spacecraft. And you can see part of one of those gyroscopes right here. The other one's just behind it. And these counter-rotate and counter-precess. You can actually see the precession of this one a little bit. And so that's what controls the tilt or the lean of the vehicle along this axis.